What happens when you mix the supportive and healing nature of a white mage with the elemental destructive magic of a black mage? On top of that, we give them a martial weapon. Well, those of you familiar with the Final Fantasy series, this is how you get a red mage, a magical jack of all trades, martial character. Welcome back to the channel, y'all. I really should have worn red for this video. But regardless, yes, today we're going to be making a red mage in Baldur's Gate 3. Now, a red mage, like I said in the beginning, kind of a jack of all trades, does a little bit of everything, but not being a master at any one of them. The red mage was one of the first jobs that were introduced in Final Fantasy all the way back in Final Fantasy 1, and it's seen different iterations over the years. For example, in Final Fantasy 12, the red mage is able to dip in every type of magic on top of using a mace and shield. But then if we take a look at the red mage in Final Fantasy 14, it's much more like a duelist where they use a rapier and focus, and then they have their own unique magic when they mix, again, white and black magic. So how do we make a red mage in Baldur's Gate 3? Well, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, we need some elemental magic on top of supporting healing magic, all while being a decent martial character at the same time. And for this video, I have two variations on the red mage that I've kind of cooked up and I'm going to show off. Now, this isn't the only way you can do a build like this. This is just the two that I'm deciding to showcase here. But before we get too deep into the video, I do want to give a special shout out thanks to Luca. He planted this seed of inspiration in my head, and now it's finally taken shape. So thank you for that, Luca, and let's get on with the video. So moving on to our first red mage variation here, we're going to go with sorcerer, and the subclass I'm going to go for is wild magic. I don't really have a specific reason for this. I just think wild magic fits kind of that red mage theme better than the other sorcerer subclasses, and it adds a little chaos to the mix. Now moving to your ability points, you need to be focusing on charisma, dexterity, and constitution for this variation. Next, we're going to move in game where I'm going to show off the spell choices I made and do it in a quicker fashion than me just going through the leveling screens. Now, heading in game, we have our first variation on the red mage. And if you can look at the spell bar there, try to ignore the bard stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But first thing I want to talk about is the elemental spells we're picking up here. So we have something like Burning Hands, Scorching Rays, Fireball, Lightning Bolt, and then Shatter. And then we have something like Glyph of Warding to kind of cover all the elemental bases, because I know in this bar, in this example right here, I am missing some ice spells, but Glyph of Warding kind of has us covered there. So Sorcerer here has all of the elements available to us, and I like to think of their meta magics kind of like dual casting for Red Mage. If you're familiar with Final Fantasy 14, Red Mages have the ability to dual cast spells like one after the other, so I kind of think of that like quickened. And so Sorcerer here covers our black mage base that we need to cover for a red mage. And so with the offensive magic capabilities kind of covered, well, we need to cover the supportive magic and then the martial side of a red mage as well. And that's why we went with Bard as well. So this build overall is a 6-6 split. As far as the leveling order, you can do Bard first and then multiclass into Sorcerer if that's your speed, but obviously in this video here, I started off with Sorcerer and then I multiclassed into Bard. But Bard is an excellent choice for Sorcerer because they both share the same spell modifier in Charisma, and we already have a pretty good investment into Dexterity for our martial weapon. So these two just pair really well together, and Bard basically fills out the rest of the Red Mage kit for us because we went College of Swords. And with College of Swords, we picked up these slashing flourishes. Now, obviously, everybody's probably familiar with the range version of these, but we're going to be focusing on the melee flourishes for this build. So on top of these melee flourishes here, we also pick up extra attack from being level 6 Sword Bard. So the martial side of a Red Mage, check. But also, Bard allows us to pick up something like Cure Wounds, Healing Word, and then Lesser Restoration. And this is going to be more of the healing white mage side of a red mage. On top of that, we do have Song of Rest, which you could kind of think this is like a white mage spell as well, or feature. Now, we will talk about gear at the beginning of the gameplay section, but this is the first variation of red mage that I've kind of gone with, and it makes a lot of sense. Red mages, I think, are basically charisma machines just by the way they dress and act. Very stylish, very cool. So I like this variation here, kind of covers all the bases in a very straightforward fashion. Now let's move on to the second variation. Now for variation number 2, you can either start off as rogue or wizard. So kind of spoilers on the multi-classing we're going to do there. But for our ability points, we want dexterity, intelligence, constitution, and maybe a little bit of charisma as well. But again, we're going to move in game and kind of show off the choices we're going to make as rogue and wizard. Now for variation number 2 here, you can see I'm doing an 8 wizard for rogue. And if you look at my hotbar there, you can tell I went with blade singing. I think wizard overall probably encapsulates the red mage completely all on its own. Now, why is that? Well, as a wizard, we have access to all of the elemental magics, not to mention we can scribe being a wizard. So that gives us a lot of flexibility when it comes to our spell choices. On top of that, as a blade singer, we are proficient with our martial weapon. In this case, we're using a rapier. So that's also going to give us extra attack. So just right there from blade singing, we already picked up the black mage side and then the martial side. Well, what about the white mage side? Well, again, back to blade singing, using our blade song dance. Part of our climaxes when we do melee strikes, we build up that supportive climax to heal allies or ourselves. So then why do we take rogue? And as you can see from my hotbar here, I took swashbuckler as my rogue here. And this is just going to bolster our martial prowess, and it's going to allow us to have some offensive capabilities with our bonus actions. Not to mention with dirty advantage, it's going to set up our normal melee attacks and our rakish sneak attack. Now I know some of y'all are thinking, Mr. Nomad, you forgot to talk about feats with these 2 variation builds, and no, I've saved them both for right now because they both can do the same feats as far as the choices. Ability improvement obviously is going to be a really easy pickup here. You can either bolster your charisma, your intelligence, or your dexterity, depending on which variation you're going with. Alert is always going to be a good option as well. I do want to mention defensive duelist here, although this doesn't work as it says in the description. On the wiki, it says something else as far as how it functions. I think it's a good choice overall, kind of fits the theme still. Lucky always can be a choice as well. And the last one I kind of want to mention here is Warcaster, because we are going to have a concentration. Both of these builds do have haste, so that concentration is going to be very important to maintain. And actually, a last mention I want to make is Magic Initiate and Warlock, and that's because of Eldritch Blast. Mostly because in Final Fantasy XIV, Red Mages have the Jolt spell, and it kind of reminds me of Eldritch Blast, so I felt like it was worth mentioning here. And now we can move on to the equipment and gameplay section. Alright, and then moving to the gameplay section here, let's take a quick look at equipment. But as usual with equipment, it's not that important for the builds I make. I just like to give you guys a framework, a skeleton of a build that is perfectly viable all on its own for tactician and honor mode. And obviously, yes, gear is going to make this build even better, but where you are in your campaign, if you're starting fresh, if you're in the middle of Act 2 or something like that, I don't know that. Just know, yes, any gear is going to make this even. But I want to show you that this works with very minimum gear, so you don't ever have to worry about missing out on something. Now, if we take a look at the equipment that the Sorcerer Bard variant has here, obviously we have Birthright. Really, I picked this because of the hat. Again, kind of matches the hat that Red Mages usually wear. Cloak-wise, I just went with the Cloak of Protection. And then weapons, I went with Belm and Kethric's Shield. Again, not too much gear, but this is going to work out perfectly fine. Switching on over to our Wizard Rogue variant here. This is like the pre-order or like the special edition hat here. Again, just going for a lot of like style and charisma. And then we picked up the Shadeslayer Cloak. This is for being a Dark Urge, but again, I only picked it up because it's red. Now, the weapon we have is Duelist Prerogative. This is a really good rapier in general, but again, you don't need to have this rapier to make this build work. This is just a good one that I picked up. So now let's get into a combat encounter where we're going to show off most, if not all, of our abilities and spells, so you can kind of see how this class and these 2 variants, how they flow. So let's head inside for an oldie but a goodie fight that I like to show off here. So we're going to be going into this room here to fight some werewolves, wolves, rats, bats, just a whole bunch of good targets to go after. We're not going to do any pre-casting other than just having Long Strider, but we could prep with something like doing our Blade Song and then Haste. That would be like the optimal way to play. But again, I want to show you kind of just going in very blunt and like headstrong. So let's get into it. Boy, oh boy. And now we start the encounter. Yeah, this wolf usually gets the jump on the initiative order, but that's okay. So first, we're starting off with our wizard variant here. As a blade singing wizard, you always want to enter Battle Song. So every time we use a spell, we're going to get a damage charge. And every time we do a melee strike, we're going to get a healing charge. So now we're in Blade Song. We're going to want to cast Haste on ourselves. And I want you guys to take a look at how much AC we got from these 2. So from Blade Singing there, we get +3. From Haste, we get +2. So if we were wearing some decent armor and even had like a shield, our AC would be pretty high as a mostly spellcaster job, or sorry, job is for Final Fantasy, a mostly spellcaster class here. But I think how we're going to start this encounter out, we're going to do a little ice storm, and we're just going to make sure we can hit as many targets as we can, or just most of them. Doesn't have to be fantastic, but just get a whole bunch of them. So a benefit of being wild magic sorcerer, we get to bend our luck with a little bit of sorcery points. We're not going to do that right now. We'll save using wild magic for, again, Shadowheart is our sorcerer bard variant, so we'll save that for her. And we're just going to have our tab here just have to rely all on his own. And obviously, Ice Storm there is a fantastic spell. Does a lot of damage. We have 2 charges built up because of haste and then that Ice Storm. So that's 2 there. And now we have our bonus action to work with. I think I will just head on over here and try to take out this bat really quick. They only have 1 health. Now, unfortunately, bats, rats, wolves, they can't be disarmed because they're not carrying a weapon. But if they were, disarm would fit like really well with, again, this like duelist theme here. But we can just throw some pocket sand at them and this should do the trick. Luck of the Far Realms, let's just use it so it doesn't keep coming up. I don't need to use bend luck, and then they're dead. Also, Withering Cut came up. This is from our weapon. We don't need to use it. But that should be the end of his turn there. As far as tab, you see we have 1 charge for healing and then 2 for damage. Oh, do we have somebody to say hi? Come here, you want to say hi? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mwah. I know, you saw that we were making a sorcerer video and you thought, ooh, is it going to be a puppy Nimbus out? No, not today. You goodbye. Okay, yeah, okay, leave the mic alone. Okay, go, shoo. We'll play later. All right, with that distraction out of the way, let's go ahead and end our turn and let's see what they're going to do. Moving right along, coming after Shadowheart. All right, so we have Shadowheart here. Again, Bard, Sorcerer mix here. We should probably open up with Haste as well, just because Haste is fantastic. Going to give us basically allow us to use 1 action to cast a spell. And then we have the option to use our last action for a melee strike and then a follow-up with extra attack. So I like that versatility there. Now, what I like about College of Swords here and this Bard variant are these flourishes here. So this teleport here, it's not a great angle. Let's see if we can get over a little bit more. I really like mobile flourish here. So you hit them, fly over, and then you get a free teleport to your target again. I'd reference Final Fantasy 14 a lot in this video because it's like my favorite MMO, but Red Mages in that game have a lot of mobility options for engaging their target and then disengaging. So I feel like College of Swords here really fits that vibe. So we're going to go ahead and move close into them. We went behind them. Now we could follow up with another mobile flourish, but I think we'll go with defensive flourish. We do have slashing flourish here as well. And I gotta say, slashing flourish kind of sucks. It doesn't suck, but it's not as good as the range variant. And we're probably not going to be showing off slashing flourish. It's just this little cone hit here. It's okay. It's decent. But we just have better options. We're going to use defensive flourish instead. And this is going to bump up our AC as well. So just like the blade singing variant there, we have a lot of things that are bumping up our armor just naturally in combat. So kind of making these characters very hard to hit, which is great because we have haste on us. Now to finish off a turn, we have the ability to use Healing Word, and obviously we don't need to use that right now because nobody's hurt. So I think we'll just use our perfectly balanced strike. This is just from our weapon as our bonus action strike. So now that that's out of the way, we can end our turn and we'll see what they all decide to do. All right, so the bat is trying to hit our tab there. You see we have defensive duelist procced. And I think we'll only proc defensive duelist here and we should be fine. Got a miss there. See if we get any other sort of defensive reactions during their turns. They're just running all over the place. They don't know what to do. I was kind of hoping one of them would slip on the ice. Okay, so tab's getting hit again. So we can now use shield as a reaction. Again, this is just going to bump up our AC even further, at least until it's our turn again. There we go. That wolf slipped. I was waiting on one of them to slip because ice and frost, it's just a really strong combination in this game. It's a lot of fun to build like a mage that way. But back to our tab here. I think our plan is going to be, let's go with lightning bolt and let's make a good streak across, try to hit as many of them as possible. Nice. I love blade singing when you use your weapon to kind of as a focus for your spells. Very cool. I really like that. But let's build up another damage charge, or actually let's switch to melee again real quick. We can use Booming Blade because Booming Blade is just good. I couldn't not pick Booming Blade as a melee character. And we'll use it on the werewolf here. Hit him with Booming Blade, and now Dog was working on something. Anywho, now I'm debating on what I want to build up. If I want to keep building up charges, or do I want to use my Blade Song Climax now and then just kind of try to build it up again in the same fight? I think instead we'll use Misty Step, again, kind of playing into the mobility of our Red Mage from Final Fantasy XIV, and we'll just teleport over here. We'll build up another damage charge, and then we will just follow up with killing this rat right here. Perfect. And I think that's all for his turn, and let's see what they do. Try to hit us, and they just can't. Nope, not today. Alright, so Defensive Flourish, after it becomes your turn again, you lose the buff for it, so you'd have to reapply it. We can do that, or we can throw a Fireball. Everybody loves a good old Fireball. Let's hit these two over here with a Fireball. And what's nice about this Sorcerer variant here is we get a lot of spell slots to work with. So let's go ahead and scale this Fireball up to level 6, and we'll toss it right in there. Love it. And actually, let's just go absolutely crazy with the spells right now. We're being very not responsible. We're not being economical with our spells right now. Hit them with that, and then let's go ahead and use Quickening to do another lightning. Let's just get everybody weak or kill them outright. Let's bump it up to 5, and we can hit. There we go. That's a perfect angle, and zap. Beautiful. A lot of spell damage, obviously, with both of these variants there. That was a very effective turn. And they're going to hit us, so we can use our sorcery points. I usually don't like to use Bend Luck, because I don't like to spend my sorcery points like that. And plus we have Shield, and Shield is just a really good defensive reaction. Not going to be able to hit our Shadow Heart there. All right, now we're gonna use our Climax, because there's only 3 of them left. And so I just want to get into a really good position. And dang, I really want to show off the White Mage skills, or I should say the White Mage skills, but the healing and supportive aspect. But as you can see, we haven't taken a hit yet. And again, we're not wearing like any good armor. So this is just basically all the build on its own. And then yes, this is on Tactician difficulty. I didn't show that off earlier, but that's how I do my gameplay sessions here. Now we are going to finish them off, but I don't want to kill them. I don't want to kill them just yet. I want to bump up those damage numbers for my Climax, and we should be fine in not taking them out. Beautiful. Oh, got a crit there. Nice. Okay. And then, oh man, they're really low. And just in case we accidentally kill them, we're going to use False Life instead, and just gives ourselves some 22 hit points by scaling it up. Should give us another damage charge. So we're at 3 healing charges and 7 damage charges. And I think this will probably end the fight if we just go ahead and dance on in there. Tides of Chaos, why not? Zap. They're all dead except for you. That's okay. It's our Shadow Heart's turn, and she can just hit him with Booming Blade. Beautiful. Man, really cleaned up the room here. Let's go ahead and have you guys take a seat. Take a load off. That was a really good fight. Your chair and your chair. Nice. But yeah, that's the build, that's the video. Obviously, this is just my take on the Red Mage from Final Fantasy. Part of this video is to basically open up the discussion on how you guys would make your Red Mages, because I could probably rattle off a couple more ways, but I think these two are my favorite variants at the moment. But anyways, I have a puppy to go throw the Frisbee to, and then I think I'm gonna go take a nap. So I'll see you guys next time.